In moments of pain, confusion, or uncertainty, many of us wonder how we can find peace and happiness when everything around us seems to be falling apart. When the weight of life becomes unbearable, joy seems like a distant illusion, almost unattainable. However, in the midst of all the darkness, there is a light that shines brighter than any storm. This light is the wisdom and teachings of Jesus Christ, which show us how to be truly happy, not despite the difficulties, but precisely in the middle of them. Jesus never promised that life would be easy. On the contrary, he warned us that we would face tribulations. But he also gave us the key to overcoming those tribulations and finding joy, peace, and purpose in everything we go through. In the most difficult moments, the words of Jesus become a beacon of hope. He taught us that true happiness does not depend on external circumstances, but on an intimate relationship with God, a relationship that sustains us, strengthens us, and guides us through the storms of life. Now, if you want to discover how to apply these teachings and find true happiness, even in the toughest situations, don't miss the opportunity to dive deeper into this path. Subscribe to the channel, leave your like to support us, and share this video with someone you know who also needs this message of hope and transformation. Together, we can walk toward a life of peace and joy, even in challenging times. Jesus taught us that love is the foundation of everything. When he said, "Love one another as I have loved you," he wasn't just asking us to show affection or kindness toward our fellow beings, but inviting us to live a form of love that goes far beyond what the world understands. This love is deep, unconditional, and free of expectations or exchanges. It is not about loving only when circumstances are favorable, but about a commitment to care, support, and forgive, regardless of the mistakes, failures, or difficulties that arise along the way. The love of Jesus is not a love based on what we receive in return. He teaches us to love without limits, without expecting anything in return. It is a love that sacrifices, that forgives without hesitation, and always seeks the good of others. When we surrender to this kind of love, we find a profound happiness that is not affected by external situations. When we love this way, we begin to experience an inner peace that no difficulty can erase. This love frees us from the shackles of the ego and worries about what we may or may not receive, allowing us to find genuine and immeasurable joy. Even when we face the worst pains, God's love becomes a constant refuge. In moments of suffering, when everything around us seems to be falling apart, it is this love that welcomes us and offers us shelter. The love of God is not a promise that pain will disappear instantly, but a certainty that He will be with us in every difficult moment. This love surrounds us with a peace that goes beyond human understanding, giving us strength to face challenges and allowing us to see beyond the present pain. It gives us a new perspective on life's difficulties, not as an end, but as an opportunity to grow and draw closer to Him. When we understand that we are deeply loved by God in an infinite way, it gives us the courage to move forward, even when our strength seems to be running out. This understanding that God's love is immeasurable and unchanging strengthens us, giving us the certainty that we are not alone in our battles. The assurance that we are loved by Him, despite our mistakes and weaknesses, pushes us to lift our heads and keep going. When we allow this divine love to enter our hearts, we find peace even in the midst of chaos, because we know we are being sustained by a love that never fails. This unconditional love of God becomes our anchor in the storm of life, reminding us that, no matter how difficult the path is, our journey will never be in vain. Even in the darkest nights, He offers us the light of His love, and it is through this light that we can find the strength to continue the walk. Jesus also taught us that faith is a fundamental pillar in finding happiness, especially when everything around us seems to be falling apart. He said, "If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it will move." Faith is not just believing that everything will work out, but trusting in God, even when we don't understand why things are happening. When we face difficulties, we find comfort and hope, not in the certainty that things will improve immediately, but in the certainty that God is with us every step of the way. Faith teaches us to rest in God's plan. Even when we're in the middle of the storm, we can trust that God is leading our lives and that He will never leave us. This doesn't mean we won't suffer, but it means that we can have peace in suffering, knowing that we're not alone. Faith gives us a joy that goes beyond circumstances, a joy that comes from the certainty that our lives are in the hands of the Creator. Jesus showed us that true happiness lies in serving others. He did not come to be served, but to serve, and He invited us to do the same. "Whoever wants to be great among you must be your servant," He said. When we dedicate ourselves to the well-being of others, when we help and share with those in need, we find genuine happiness. By doing good, our souls are deeply touched, and we experience joy that is not fleeting. Oftentimes, we get so focused on our own problems that we forget there are people around us who are also suffering. When we choose to help, whether with a smile, an encouraging word, or a concrete gesture, we are touched by God's presence. In service, we find a greater purpose, something that makes us feel whole, something that gives us hope and joy, even in difficult times. In the midst of life's struggles, inner peace is something many of us long for. Jesus taught us that true peace is not the absence of problems, but trust in God. He said, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives." The peace of Jesus does not depend on external circumstances. It is a deep peace that comes from trusting in God and His perfect plan for our lives. When we completely surrender to Him, when we trust that He knows what is best for us, we find a peace that transcends human understanding. In moments of affliction, when the pain seems unbearable and anxiety consumes us, we can turn to God in prayer, seeking His peace and trust. In the midst of the turmoil, He hears us, and His response is not a promise that the storms will disappear, but that He will be with us every step of the way. He will never leave us, and this certainty wraps around us like a divine embrace, bringing us tranquility that transcends human understanding. The peace of Christ is not a superficial peace, one that simply masks the pain or problems, but a deep peace that invades our being and fills us with an inexplicable serenity. It is a peace that goes beyond circumstances, a peace that strengthens us at the deepest level, enabling us to move forward, even when everything seems to be falling apart around us. It gives us the strength to face each challenge, to lift our heads, even in the darkest hours. For we know that, in Christ, we are not weak, we are more than conquerors, able to face any storm with courage and confidence. True happiness, the kind that is not swayed by the fluctuations of the world, is not found in wealth or the temporary pleasures life offers. It is found in the teachings of Jesus, who shows us that true joy does not depend on what we have or external conditions, but on the state of our hearts. Jesus teaches us that we can be happy, even in difficulties, because the happiness He offers is not a fleeting emotion, but a deep peace that roots itself in our soul, transforming the way we see life. When we love unconditionally, when we serve others with generosity and compassion, when we have faith and fully trust in God, we find this true happiness. It is not a material achievement or a momentary pleasure, but a daily decision to live according to the divine principles Jesus revealed to us. True happiness is a choice, choosing to follow His steps, trusting in His plans, and loving without measure. Thus, the happiness that Jesus offers is not just something we seek, but something we find when we completely surrender to Him. Even in times of pain, when the world seems to crumble, this happiness surrounds us and allows us to see life in a new way, where love, faith, and trust in God become our strength, our source of unwavering joy. And this happiness, far from being fleeting, is eternal, because it comes from a source that never runs dry, God's love and grace. In moments of pain and struggle, remember, you are not alone. Jesus is by your side, offering love, faith, and peace. The happiness He offers is not a temporary happiness or one dependent on external factors, but a deep happiness that comes from an intimate relationship with God. Allow yourself, then, to find true happiness in Christ. Let His love transform your life and fill your heart with joy, even in the most difficult times. He is the light at the end of the tunnel, the peace in the midst of the storm, and the source of eternal happiness.